Now, as we talked about before, we made these changes to the ALGO PTE and the ALGO actions repositories. But these repositories were auto-generated from the ALGO repository, and as soon as if we want to uptake changes that comes from Microsoft ALGO, we'll get those into the fork of our own ALGO repository and deploy these and override the modifications that we created. So what we want to do is we want to collect the changes that we created in our repositories and then actually get those into the repository that we have here, so the ALGO repository. And to do that, we'll run the collect workflow, and it just asks where to collect from, and we'll say run workflow to that one. So it'll create a pull request, so we can see here that the changes that we are collecting are in fact the right changes, and we need to make sure that we're not overriding something in our local ALGO repository, and we need to make sure that we get all the changes, that we don't accidentally not collect some of the changes that we had in our repository YAML files. But let's wait for the collect to complete and actually see what changes are there to be collected. So the collect is done, and let's click a pull request to see what it has collected. Changes to 2 files, no surprise in that. One is my change to the workflow initialize, and the other one is my task in the CI/CD workflow under templates per tenant extensions. So actually that is correct. I'll do the merge of this one, and as we can see, it runs a continuous integration test. What it tests here is actually that all actions have the YAML file describing the actions matches the actions, and we can call them. So there's like a preliminary test running for all the actions. The actual testing that everything will still work is the end-to-end tests, which runs in the Microsoft repositories every time we check in a pull request before every time we merge a pull request before we actually deploy these changes. These end-to-end tests will actually test that we successfully can upgrade any version of ALGO for GitHub, any earlier version of ALGO for GitHub, to the newest version, and still run a CI/CD workflow in that one. Let's merge this one into our front DK ALGO, and now we have these changes right here in our repository. We can see that we are 2 commits ahead of Microsoft main, and what we can always do is we can always, if there are changes to Microsoft main, we can take these changes and sync them to this repository and merge them with our changes. So this is the way we can have local functionality in ALGO and still maintain getting changes from Microsoft ALGO merged into our repository, because when we've synced this, we just need to deploy, and then we get our actions updated, and then the various repositories will have to update their ALGO system files in order to get these changes, all of them. With this, on to the next task.